Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, and we got a friend of the show joining us, Dr. Mike Dominguez from Garden City Public Schools in Kansas. So Mike, how you doing?
We're doing well, Rick. Thank you for having us back on. It's always a pleasure to be back on the podcast. It's great. It's informative, but Garden City is just excited to be here.
Well, Mike, remind our viewers and listeners where you started and then how you ended up in Kansas.
Well, absolutely. I have actually, I want to say I'm a proven leader. So I'm a TOSA, teacher on special assignment. I've been in the Texas Panhandle. I did 6 districts and 1 open public charter in Texas. I did the Texas Panhandle, and I went to the Metroplex. I was a teacher, coach, assistant principal, deputy soup, and then now superintendent of 2 different school districts. I just decided to see what else was out there as far as even nationwide, but Garden City, Kansas kind of jumped out there. It's not too far from where I was, about 2.5 hours from where I was in the Panhandle of Texas. Kind of intriguing for me, and thought that'd be a good opportunity to go somewhere else, see what else was, what things we could make happen as far as with other shareholders in Kansas.
Now, when you were taking your trip up to Kansas, kind of getting the lay of the land, do you remember a moment that sealed it for you, like that made you really excited, like, all right, this is home?
Well, I would say that started way back in 92, 93, so a long time ago. I've always had great respect for Kansas, the people. When I say that, started a wrestling program in Dumas, Texas as teacher coach, and then went to Hereford and started that wrestling program, but was able to get up into Liberal, Ulysses, Garden City, Dodge City, this part of the world. So really always just very kind, tough competitors for sure. You got to respect that. You got to respect that, the work ethic and just the heart of it. But for us, just making the trip, 36,000 pop. So, have enterprise, have restaurants, have 7,200 students. So, I mean, it's a real, it's a big deal for Western Kansas, big deal for Kansas. So this was intriguing and appealing, but I would say all the way back in the early 90s was when we really kind of fell in love with Western Kansas.
So it's fair to say that they kicked your butt. They gave you the full Nelson a couple times on the mat, and you figured if you can't beat them, you join them.
Something to that effect. We got good in a hurry. So then in the mid 90s, we were returning the favor. So that's always fun. One of the big tournaments out here is called the Rocky Welton Classic, and named after the beloved coach. He's no longer with us, but here, and definitely coached against them, competed against them. Just like I say, absolute pride and joy of the area, but just class act all the way. And yeah, definitely passed out some lumps ourselves. So there you
go. Well, when I come visit, I'm gonna have to show you a cross-faced chicken wing or two that I picked up in good old North Shore, Texas. So I got a few moves here and there. Mike, let me ask you this. Obviously you've been in transition and learning about the community. As you learn more about your staff, your kids, what's gotten you fired up the most about this school year?
Well, I would say all of that. You're right. There's a lot of listening and learning in your 30, 60, 90-day plan. You want to get in, learn the community, learn the people, learn who, what values they have, what you can bring to the table. And once again, yourself included, Dr. Fernandez, we have 10,000 hours of expertise. How do I make that expertise work for the community that we're coming into? So that's important. But I would say the post-secondary effective rate is unique for Kansas. And they still go by CTE and terminology instead of like a PTEC model and so forth, like we're doing in Texas. But it's called the Kansas CAN Vision. And the effective rate is basically just like everything, a student graduates from high school. Most importantly, they do graduate from high school, and that if they, and we track them, we do a pretty good job, and CMR, college career military ready, if they're enrolled in anything, any secondary college and or get a cert within that first 2 years, just that it truly just changes their life, the trajectory of their life. If they're obviously if they're going to a 4-year university, that's we still want them to finish that. But if they're continuously enrolled, that poverty rate dissipates, that they do have a completion rate, and that makes it exciting for me. Right when I was interviewing, this was in March of 2022, that saying only 30% of Kansas jobs require a 4-year degree, which was little intriguing in the sense of the other 70%. What are those individuals going to do? And clearly, you don't want your best talent to go off to school and never come back. You want to be able to have the jobs and the opportunities to come back to home and work there. So that's exciting for me, that the shareholders have stake in that. That we're just looking Kansas to move Kansas forward and getting in on what would be some of the ground level of that and moving that forward. I definitely know that's one of my strengths, and definitely could and would be able to use those strengths to help Garden City Public Schools.
I like it. I'm a CTE guy myself, so anytime we're talking about that blurring the lines between the education and the industry and higher ed, I'm all for it. Is there any one up and coming trade that's in the area that you have your eyes set on, or is there a growth sector in your community there that kids need to start preparing to get ahead of it before they get to the workforce or before they get to college?
Well, as you state, so we have 16 pathways for the student. So for us, it's still the same thing of you have to be 18. So the internships and mentorships are sometimes you struggle with that, but huge beef, huge dairy around here. So ag is still king to some degree, but there's a lot of trades that we have got back into the woods. We have got back into the HVAC and the plumbing through the schools, because it's like you in your area, my area, if you try to find a plumber, they're very number one, few and far between. So we're working with those individuals to move that forward. But definitely in the biochemical, the engineering components, the math, that we're working with our CTE STEM Academy to move those things forward. That's exciting. Frankly, right now in education, the teaching training is exciting for us. So we definitely, once again, about grow your own, we have to sell our profession, we have to tell our story, and then also have to grow our own talent, because most people end up about 60-mile radius from their hometown, especially in Kansas. So let's coach them up. And when I say teacher on special assignment, still coaching every day in the role of a superintendent. That how do we bring people forward? How do we build capacity in those individuals, in those people, and ensure their success? So one of our mottos and comments is engage, enrich, empower. So we want to engage all of our shareholders, enrich them. How are we going to enrich their lives? And then empower our individuals to not just the students, but the shareholders to know that we're doing and delivering a product to their children, that they can go forward and have career clusters. And we're in a unique situation. We're a high poverty rate. So that makes it, I really do need help. I need the school to help me move forward. So like I said, all those marketing, manufacturing, got a lot of manufacturing jobs around here that just go unfilled. So we need to be able to bridge that with our students to help fill those jobs.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I know the state of the economy is not looking at its best, if you've been listening to the news at all. So I think it's going to require schools and business and colleges to collaborate even further to make sure that people have jobs and that our students are ready and appropriately trained to jump out there in the real world and get to a high wage, high skilled job. So, I think that you guys are doing the right work there. You've mentioned to me that you have a great school board there with you. Is there any goals that you and the school board have collaboratively discussed and want to see at least the beginning of during this school year? Or is it too early? Is it too early? I don't put you on the spot. So if it's too early, you can tell me shut up and we can talk about it off camera if you want.
Well, no, you know what? Student achievement jumps out. So once again,
Sure.
student achievement, and that seems kind of a low bar, but the truth is in Kansas, it's a 5-year accreditation cycle. It's not 8F like in other state. And, we do take the standardized tests annually, but that's just a component of it versus you get an 8F scorecard from that. So that makes it the accountability, also just the engagement of the whole community. We're 81% minority, so we're minority majority. So how are we going to bridge that? Not just academically, but get our people involved, the whole community, the whole child involved in the system where they know that they're, number one, that they're valued and their values are celebrated as we move forward. High poverty, like I said, we're about 71% free and reduced as far as on our clientele. So there's a poverty component there that you have to address. You have to, meet your children where they're at, meet your students, meet your parents where they're at, and moving forward a year academically each year. And there's a toll with that. We have 35 languages, so that can be a chore, but we don't, we make excuses for that, but we celebrate our diversity and like how are we academically going to move everyone forward a year in a year's time, and then also just efficiencies. So the 30, 60, 90 day is that listening and learning. You don't want to throw a lot out because you don't know why it was there. So you have to honor what was there prior, great district, great people, and great staff. But I mean, you do want to move forward. So I would just the academic side and literacy being a huge component of that for us, of just trying to address literacy, trying to get everybody on grade level by second grade. We pick up a lot of first newcomers, a lot of first time to, frankly, America, not just to Garden City, but I mean, they're coming, and some of them with no school, no formal education. So that's a unique situation. So academics has to come first, and the school board is on board with that.
It sounds like you almost have an inner city type of circumstances in your community there, where you've got some high poverty, you've got some learning loss, you've got some newcomers that are just coming to your school district. So quite the challenge, but they picked the right man. I'm excited for you, and I'm not going to let you off the hook without asking a couple of questions off the cuff. So you're an innovative guy. Is there anything that you've seen or that you're wanting to maybe introduce that you can tease? Don't get in trouble with the board or anybody else, but if there's something that's been hanging out there that you're like, what, I'm probably going to bring this up at some point to see if this is a good fit for my kids here.
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because we are doing Leader in Me with the social emotional piece. We're doing Leader in Me. I think that's really strong, really powerful. Even in the interview, I was like, what goals are we setting for literacy, for reading and writing, and goals for math? And not that the answer was right or wrong, it's just the empowerment of Rick, you're reading at a 3.1 Lexile. And by the end of the year, I want you reading at a 5 point or 5.1. You can make it 2 years growth this year. And just having those conversations with a child of the goal setting. So I'm glad you brought that up because the Leader in Me is strong. That's new to the district. There was some test campuses last year, but then we're doing it with all of our elementaries, all our intermediates, and our middle schools. I just think that's just so powerful. I wanted that of the goal setting, some kind of accountability for the goals. Once we get the child bought in, as far as what's your passion, what's your goal, if this is your goal, what kind of skills do you need, what skill set do you need to have to be successful? And when the child, male or female, and parents get involved in like, hey, we're going to move this needle forward, and we are going to get to 2 years growth in reading. Well, the efficacy that it takes, it's just not self-efficacy, it's communal efficacy, and we all grow from that, and everybody benefits from that. The teachers, the students, everybody, gets to find their genius. And when you find your genius, is empowering. That's powerful, and I'm just glad we, number one, that you asked that. Number two, that we're doing it, and that's really moving our people forward.
I love that, Mike. You're absolutely right. And you know as well as I do, it's great when kids have the support at home, but for those that don't, it's on us to help them with the accountability and the routines, and to be good learners, and to own their learning, right, when they step into the classroom. So that's awesome that you guys are starting at the base and helping your kids become advocates for their own education. So I'm proud of you and proud of your district for being able to start that initiative. I think that's going to work wonders for the self-esteem of your kids, and also the morale and the culture of a campus, right? You see kids start to succeed. Well, guess what? There's a reason, and it's usually sitting in that classroom as your teachers are the ones that are helping them get there. So that's really awesome to hear.
We're really focusing on just the growth mindset, just trying to move everybody forward and growing, and that is a systemic approach to it is just powerful.
All right, we got to go off the cuff a little bit since I don't want to take up too much of your time. So, all right, let me ask this: who's got the better barbecue, Kansas or Texas?
I have not. There's more vinegar taste here, and then I will actually get to Kansas City in early October, so I will try it, but I'm fearful it's going to be Texas, but there is some really great barbecue here. Just sauce is not as good, but once again, if you need sauce, there's something wrong with the barbecue. So that's always funny. So yeah.
Don't say that to your fellow community members there, right? Just let them if they think Kansas is the best. Hey, to each his
That's right.
own.
That's right.
Have you picked up any Kansas slang that you can share with us?
You
Anything you
know,
can think of? Is there a saying or?
I don't know that there is, because they've picked up quite a few. They call it Dominguez bingo, so they picked up a lot of slang words from myself. But um, it's there. I'd say Kansas humbleness. They're just really kind, really sweet, just really caring. So there's not you know, yeah. So it's really difficult to pick up on that. So you kind of like, well, where are you from? Are you from Oklahoma or from Texas? Or, some of these sayings that you're bringing up, colloquialisms that you're bringing up, we've never heard of. So that's new for them for sure.
Well, I don't know if that has to do with you being from Texas, Mike, or just some of the things that Mike D says all on his own.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and like I say, when, trying to provide like engaging, enriching, empowering education, man, just, working on literacy, pushing that forward. It's, it is coaching. It's coaching and mentoring and shepherding all day long, which is powerful. And yeah, I really, we really focus on grade level techs this year, which is powerful, and bringing everybody forward on that, and not, um, excellence is by design. It's not by accident. So we're trying to be really intentional with our thought and our expertise. And I mean, Rick, we have 1,200 employees. So we have a big system. We have a lot of kids, 7,200 kids, but we just gotta, moving forward. And I think one of the other stats was 3,700 ELL students. That's a big number. That we get to service. So, and that's it. We get to serve them and get to move forward. We have 106 routes in the morning, which is astronomical bus routes. So about 4,000 kids ride a bus daily. So interesting. It's unique, but a great district. So we got a lot of positives for sure.
Well, good deal. I'm going to come visit you in a week or so, and two things I want to do. Number one, I want to ride one of the buses. I love being a bus buddy, and then if I can read to any elementary school students, I'd love to do that because it's one of my favorite things to do. So I like to see them get into the story as much as I do. So if you can make that wish happen, maybe I'll book that ticket a lot sooner.
That's right. That's right. Well, and Rick, so traditionally I try to read to the pre-KK all the way to 2 on second grade on Fridays, and just haven't been able to get there. We do have superintendent's campus of the week, and we definitely do. It's called the Minute with Mike Zoom or YouTube video that we put out there. So we're trying to get out there, trying to get our tell our story, trying to make sure they know all the good things going on at USD 457. So we're making a dent and we're making a move, and definitely feel good about it for sure.
Well, Mike, thank you for joining us. It was good catching up with you. I know I'll be seeing you soon, and if there's anything that I can do for you, you know I'm here. So once again, thank you for being on the path forward with us.
Okay, thank you, Rick. It's always a pleasure, and love the podcast. It's always very inspiring. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Produced by Podcast Architects.